Hey guys, here's Louie, and we are back on the Lovebird here. So the other day I went and I did a whole bunch of things to the Lovebird. I bled the brake system, so now I have brakes. I did an oil change, okay, which I really just drained the oil. And I was going to add the new oil, but I ran into a problem. So I will be adding the oil once I am done with this job here tonight. And let me see what else. I also have to do the rear end gear oil, add it. But I put my wires in. I made sure everything was good to go. Because, well, I'm getting really close here now to getting this car started. The engine turned on for the first time, and as I was putting coolant into the radiator, I ran into a problem. She started leaking on me through the fins around this section here. You guys could see the drip mark right there. And listen, I was just testing my luck, okay, because that radiator came out of an old 69 Firebird, the convertible car that Jonathan from VVG left here. And it wasn't leaking in that car, I guess, because that antifreeze was lower than that level. Okay, and then when I was putting my 4th gallon in is when she started leaking there, and she also started leaking at the water pump. And that's what this video is about, okay? How to change a water pump on a Pontiac. And this goes for the V8s Pontiac, okay? So it doesn't matter if you have the 400, 350, 455, you know, all those kind of Pontiac V8 vintage engines. And I'm referring to from 67 to 69. They do go more than that, but I'm only referring to the first gen Firebirds because that's what I do. I'm a first gen Firebird guy. It's the same process. Now, listen to this, and I'm not ashamed of admitting it, and I probably will be helping a whole lot of people out there. And it's my first time doing this mistake. So I know I am working on a 68 Firebird. Okay, so in my brain, I know I am working on a 68 Firebird. So when I called the parts store the other day and I mentioned to them that I need a water pump for a Pontiac 350 1968, I totally made a mistake. I should have counted my bolts. Okay, in 1967 and 1968, the water pump still had 8 bolts. In 1969, they changed to 11 bolts. And it dawned on me, and the next day when I woke up, I said, holy crap, I bet I ordered the wrong water pump, because when I date coded this engine 350 here I have is a 70 or 71 Pontiac 350. So automatic, I know she's an 11 bolt water pump. Okay, so remember, if you guys are working on a Pontiac engine, do your homework and count the bolts on the water pump. And I'm going to show you, if you have 8, you have a 68 and older. If you have 11, if you have 11, you have a 1969 and newer, okay, water pump. So I'm going to show you the tools that it takes to get all this off. I have to take off the fan. I am going to get rid of this radiator because I ordered an aluminum radiator, 3-core radiator. Okay, and the reason I ordered that, I'm going to share with you guys now, is because this is not correct. This is for a 6-cylinder car. Okay, and I just was going to use it to move the car around here in my yard. But the core support, so from here, the core of the radiator from here to here should measure 23 inches. And I'm going to tell you why. Because when I did not know better, I ordered many radiators. I even ordered 4 cores radiators, aluminum radiators, and I had to mock up the fan shroud and customize it by cutting it. And I absolutely always hated cutting up. It broke my heart, but I had to do it to make it work. And now that I know way more, you know, fast forward to now, I know that it's a bigger radiator, and I wasn't sure, but I measured. Ladybird over there has an original radiator with a fan shroud original that is not cut up. And I also spoke to Jonathan, and he mentioned it to me. He said, buddy, I'm pretty sure it's 23 inches because I recently did the Mockingbird, and that's what I got. And a matter of fact, I ordered something very similar to his radiator that he ordered for the Mockingbird. So check it out here. It's very useful. It's good knowledge. So I just want to help you guys. This is an original radiator and the core. So it's from here to here. I measured it already, 23 inches. And as you could see, it did not need to get cut up to fit through the hoses and blah, blah, blah. I used to have to cut them here if I could fit the holes. Also cut them at the bottom. I mean, what a mess. But now that I know better, I know to order a radiator that from this point to this point is 23, the core. When you're reading the description of the radiator, make sure that it says the core 23 inches. And you shouldn't have a problem. And if the description says first gen Firebird, well, that's the one you need if you have a V8 application. Okay, so moving back here to the engine bay of the Lovebird. I'm going to be taking out the fan, okay? And with the fan, once you loosen those bolts, those are 1/2 inch bolts in front of that fan, holding the fan spacer, which that's an original Pontiac fan spacer there, and also the water pump pulley. All right, but before you even gonna take off that fan, you need to loosen up your power steering pump. You don't need to take it out. You just need to loosen it up, and also loosen your alternator, because those bolts need to come off, and then you will move to the fan. All right, I'm not going to show that because I showed how to mount a power steering system on these cars on that video. So if you could look at that video and see what you need to do to loosen that up. Okay, it's pretty simple. Just a couple of bolts and they get loose and it'll drop. So I'm going to be removing all that, and when I get to the water pump there, I will start recording to show you guys what to look out for. Let's go to the tools. So these cars are pretty simple and you don't need no special tools. Okay, you're going to need a 9/16. You're going to need a 1/2 inch also, box wrench. Okay, open end and box at the end. And if you're spoiled, you will have the ratchet ends. Let me tell you something. For many years, I did not have ratchet ends. I had these, okay? And either or will do the job. Just this makes it a little easier once they loose. You're going to need a screwdriver, if you a flathead screwdriver, if you need to move any radiator holes, which you don't if you're only going to take out the water pump, but later on I will be removing the radiator, so I need it for the clamps. And these are not correct for first gen Firebirds, but these are the ones I'm using for now, and later on I will get the period correct ones. All right, also 5/16 socket will fit on the ones that have a hex head. All right, the ones that have a smooth head and just a spot for a flathead screwdriver to go and loosen it. That's why you need the flathead screwdriver. You're also going to need RTV, and I usually use this ultra black RTV maker, okay, for things like this. Also for oil pan, shows your oil pan there, water pumps, things like that, thermostat housing, little things like that is when I use this, okay? The only time I use anything stronger than that, and I'll be honest with you, have been for transmission pans, because these turbo 400s and turbo 350s, I mean, in my experience dealing with these cars, they are just pigs. Doesn't matter what you do to them, they leak. So I use that on the pan, the right stuff, and that's some strong stuff there. All right. Okay, now check this out. These are backing plates. This is for a 1968 and older application. You have this backing plate and you have another backing plate. It's two backing plates you have. I'm sorry, I don't have the other one right now. I probably have it somewhere in my parts, but I happen to have this one in the garage, so I wanted to show you guys. All right, and this one is for 1969 and newer. Okay, and I think I'm pretty right when I say 1969 all the way to 1980 Pontiac V8s. All right, and there's a trick on this I will show you later that helps keep a Pontiac nice and cool. And check this out: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Because you need to make sure you buy the correct water pump, which I did. And it's 11 bolt holes there, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, and the trick for keeping these working nice and keeping your engine cool, I'll show you a little later on. This is a brand new water pump which I picked up in AutoZone. It's a Duralast brand, and I always share with you guys the part number. Here is the part number right there. Okay, you guys want to take a screenshot of that, you can. And it also comes with the gasket, and this brings two gaskets because one gasket is going to go on this side and the other gasket got to go on the back. Okay, but there is more than just this to the water pumps to a Pontiac engine. Let me get the fan out of there, let me get the belts out of there, the pulley, and I'll bring you guys right back. All right, guys, so here I did remove the fan, the spacer, the water pump pulley. Okay, first I had to loosen the alternator. Okay, and basically you are going to loosen this bolt back here. I am missing this bracket. I'm going to order it maybe after this video, but I know that I'm just going to turn on the engine, and I could turn it on like this, but I won't be driving in the street like this. So you have to loosen this bolt, loosen these two bolts, and she will slide to the side. Okay, as for the power steering bolts, this will also loosen the power steering, okay, pump. And the one behind, there's a stud behind with a nut, you have to loosen that one, and you have to loosen this one right here, and she will slide down, come down, and you will find this bracket being in your way of this bolt. So once you have removed everything, you just slide the power steering pump back that way, okay, towards the driver's side fender, and you kind of just torque this down a little bit, and she's out of your way. Now, I forgot to mention on my tools, you are going to need a ratchet with a 9/16 socket, also with a 1/2 inch socket, because these bolts here are 1/2 inch. And this is pretty cool. It still has the original water pump bolts that have these cutouts, okay? I am a big, I don't know, you could say I'm really big on having this eye hook, okay? Because when I see a Pontiac engine that's missing this, I mean, I don't know, it gets me kind of like in an upset mood, because once I see that eye, I know I'm looking straight at a vintage Pontiac. Okay, so to me, I don't know, that's like my stamp on these engines. I love this. And when I was much younger, I used to go to the junkyards and remove these from engines. And I believe I am down to one more original one, which will go in my Trans Am tribute car that I'll be building after this Lovebird here. So yeah, a word of advice, guys. You're right. You don't have to touch this bolt here. Okay, this is for the timing cover, not for the water pump. All right, but you do have to remove all of these, including this one, And the most scariest bolts to move, and I'm telling you because I did it to this engine, is to snap one of these. And this side, I remember I snapped it. The other side, I was lucky to take it out, which is this one, okay? And I did a whole bunch of welding with a nut and a washer to the block, and I was able to remove enough of the broken bolt to stick a new bolt, okay? But this one is scary, and this one, because they cross all the way through the water pump, through the timing cover, and into the block. And if these bolts, if nobody put no kind of like anti-seize or anything like that, and God knows when was the last time they was removed from the engine, they could get really seized up in there, okay? That's why, honestly, when I have a Pontiac engine, I like to go through it, all right? That if I have to apply some heat, I'm applying it while I'm going through it, could still clean it up, do whatever I have to do, then paint it up, and game over. But if you're in a situation like this, that your car is already, your engine is put in the engine bay, you have a whole bunch of things around it, I mean, it's a little scary to come here with a torch and try to loosen up a bolt. But I know this shouldn't find me because I went through it again. I went through this already. All right. I just didn't know it was going to leak on me. But yeah, we definitely gonna have to take out all these. And the reason I'm gonna take this out, this water pump, is not because it's leaking through here. It's leaking through the bottom. And on this water pumps, it has a hole in the middle that when your bearings and all those kind of stuff in there are giving away, that hole starts dripping antifreeze, all right, coolant, and you know that your water pump is about to say bye-bye to you. So that's why I'm removing this and just putting a new one. And I know, I'm dealing with the luck being more on my side. So you need to remove all these. This one is a 9/16, okay, 9/16. And all of these are halves, okay? These are all halves. And I put a towel and a catch pan underneath that that brace right there, okay? That cross member. I have a pan, a catch pan, and a towel there. Let me loosen this up, and I'm going to be removing this water pump. All right, guys, here, these two are the 9/16 bolts, okay? And remember, they cross through the water pump, through the timing cover, and into the block. Same thing on that side, all right? They came out fairly easy because, like I told you, I went through it. And the trick to this is, I'm going to show you the trick to this. Like that in the future, they'll never give you problems again. That's anti-seize. I don't know if you could see my finger. It's kind of grayish, all right? But I put anti-seize. Even though there's only threads here, I put it all the way All right, because I don't want it to get rusty and stuck to the walls of the timing cover. I've seen that too before. So I just make sure I clean the bolt and just lube it up here with anti-seize and a little bit less on the threads, but here a whole lot. All right. And now the rest is 1/2 inch. And the name of this game is take your time loosening these bolts. Okay, just take your time. Take your time. And you will be okay. I do not use no power tools, okay, on this kind of job. Hand tools, that's it. No need for power tools here. once you loosen all of them that you know you broke them loose, you just keep going until they fully come out. All right. All right, I remove all the bolts. And now I'm going to be using a dead blow hammer. Okay. Now I'm using my dead blow hammer here. And I'm going to hit it right here on the snout. There you go. She broke right out. Okay. And check that out. That's definitely an 11 bolt water pump. Okay. And this is pretty nasty here. So I will be using a different backing plate. This is your metal backing plate. And the trick to a Pontiac cooling system to be as efficient as it possibly could get, the backing plate, you need to hit this with a hammer down as close as those fins you see there. Hope you guys can see that spinning. All right, the repeller side right here, as close to that without hitting it, just close enough. Okay, and right here, as I could see, nobody ever banged the backing plate and knew about the Pontiac trick, it looks like. So guys, let me clean this mess up and get her ready, but I want to show you guys something first. Okay, let me get you guys off the tripod here and show you guys first something. So in 1969 you had these sleeves, and yes, you do need it. Okay, so 1969 and forward, okay, 1970, 71, I believe all the way to 1980. All right, you have these sleeves, and these sleeves here has an insert. They are rubber insert. These are hard as a rock. And I am so happy for being a Pontiac parts hoarder that I actually have this. Okay, this thing is really filthy. I'm actually happy that she was leaking on me if I could go through it as of now. But the timing cover looks excellent. Sometimes these get corroded so bad by the water sitting there through all the years. And when I mean water, I mean antifreeze, coolant. It actually eats this. This is aluminum, all right? Your block is cast iron, but this timing cover on a Pontiac is aluminum, and they do rot through. I've seen them many, many, many times before. So let me get these sleeves out of here, okay, to pop in the new bushings. I'll bring you guys right back. Let me clean this mess up. All right, guys, so I cleaned this out, okay? I also took my scraper and I cleaned the surface where the gasket is going to be lying on, okay? And here you are going to use some RTV also. All right, so I like to put RTV here, and then I'll come with a water pump and place her in. Now these sleeves, okay, these sleeves, when it's brand new and there's no rust going through there or anything like that, they haven't been built up yet, they slide right out. Okay, these do not want to slide out because I don't know how long they've been there, but I stuck my finger all the way in, feeling the walls of the sleeve, and it's still there. Okay, it's not missing. No, if it was missing pieces, because sometimes they get so rotted out, they'll be missing pieces out of the sleeve. This one is not. It's complete. It's just that she's rusty in there. And honestly, you don't have to bring them out, but you do have to change the rubber seals. Okay, and look at the rubber seals I took out of there. I mean, absolutely disgusting. Okay, hard as a rock, nasty, crystallized. And these are brand new. Like I told you, I'm a Pontiac hoarder. Okay, Jonathan from Vinyl Village Garage. Well, he calls me NLL Pontiac. Well, buddy, I think you have a point to that name. But if you see, here has a groove. That side is going to be facing the block, and the smooth side is going to be facing the radiator. Okay, so it goes in just like this. And these are brand spanking new, so they haven't shrunk or anything, and they fit nice and snug there. Okay, there you go, baby. You see that? Again, I'm holding my phone and trying to do this at the same time. Okay, there you go. Push it in. Make sure she's seated all the way back. There you go. You do not need no silicone for this, okay? And there you go. She's there, nice and beautiful. Let's move on to the workbench for the water pump next. All right, guys. So let me show you this. On the original water pump. So it's the water pump I just finished taking out the car. Check this out. These fins are way much shorter. Okay, and look at the gap between the backing plate and the fin here. Okay, and on a Pontiac, you want this backing plate to be as close to that fin without hitting the backing plate. That's the fin, you know, not without the fin hitting the backing plate, but really close, that you use a Skinner filler gauge. Okay, I'm using, I think is 0.020. All right, and that's way too big. That gap is huge. But check this out. So remember, these fins, look at how short they are. Now I have the new water pump that I am putting on the engine in the Lovebird. And check this out. These fins here, they are way taller. Okay, and when I put the backing plate real close, I don't know if you guys could see that, but they are hitting the backing plate. So in this case, is the reverse. Instead of me wanting to hit the backing plate this way towards the fins, I have to hit it away from the fins because it is touching. All right, and if I were to install this on the engine, once it starts and the belt pulls the pulley around and around, you're going to hear a nasty noise. So here is my filler gauge, and I am using let's see if it can focus. There you go. That's the filler gauge right there. Okay, 0.020, and I cannot even fit it in because it's just touching too much. So let me get the hammer. I'm getting a hammer, and around this surface here, I'm going to be banging it out this way. I'll bring you guys back. All right, guys, so I'm going to let you know something. To work this groove out this way, that means away from the fins, because in this case, this new water pump, these fins here are much taller, okay, than the original. So usually we Pontiac guys have to hit it this way towards the fins to close the gap between the fin and the backing plate, okay? But in this case, the new water pump, the fins are much taller, and they was hitting the backing plate. So I had to hit it this way to go and get a little spacing in between. And now the filler gauge I show you guys does fit, and it fits absolutely beautiful. I shouldn't have, not at all, no coolant, temperature, high temperature, overheating, anything you want to call it, issues. I should be running nice and cool. And I'm going to give you guys a word of advice. Try to use this kind of style hammer with a round half ball end. And what I did was, here I have a 4x4, okay, and here's my vise, and I just put it in between there, okay, right here, striking this edge and going all around little by little, and you can see the strike marks there, little by little, until I was happy with the gap on the fins on this water pump, okay? And please make sure that nothing else is bended, because this needs to be nice and straight from when you bolt it up to the engine. So let me keep on going there, and I'll bring you guys back for the next step. All right, guys, so now you have the tool gasket, okay? I already repaired and I cleaned the threads out to all the bolts that are going to be used to mount this power steering pump. And I also brushed on some anti-seize, because those bolts go through an aluminum timing chain cover on these Pontiacs, okay? So the anti-seize is really important. So on a Pontiac water pump, all right, these 11 bolts, you are going to put RTV on this side, wipe it nice and clean with some brake clean, okay, wipe it nice and clean, use some RTV here, and I told you I use this stuff here, and then you place one gasket, okay, I use RTV on this side, then goes your backing plate, then I put RTV on this side of the backing plate, and I'll put the next gasket. Now, the very last one, I also put RTV, and I put a little of RTV back on the timing chain cover itself. So let me get this all prepped, and then I'm moving back to the engine bay to mount this water pump. All right, guys, and now we are going for the final installation of the water pump. I have all my bolts nice and clean, and I'm ready to now knock this out the park and just finish here. All right, so I have my bolts here. And I have the two big ones that are gonna go through the timing cover first, okay, helping keeping the gasket nice in place. I'm just gonna slide that back and put them in by hand first. All right, here goes the hook. I'm I'm just gonna snug these. Okay. Now I'm putting in the 1/2 inch bolts. They have anti-seize, all of them do. Want to make sure that everything lines up well. I like to put the bolts in by hand first. Like that I don't run into no problems. Okay. All right. Two more left. All right now. All right, and I'll bring you guys back once I tighten this up. And well, guys, there you have it. A brand new water pump installed on this 350 Pontiac engine here for the Lovebird. And I will let the silicone cure for probably one full day, 24 hours, and then I will wipe it down with some rubbing alcohol, and I need to paint it just like the rest of the engine is painted. And it gives me a little time because I'm still waiting for the radiator to come. Once the radiator come, I'm kind of deciding if I should paint it black now or later on, because I still really need to go through the core support and paint a whole bunch of stuff here. You guys got to remember, I'm just trying to make the car that it will be able to move on its own power, because it's way easier getting a car that could turn on and drive out of the garage. For the space, I would like to put Ladybird on this spot now, and this one in the bird cage or there. And when I'm cutting at this car and welding on this car, I just could drive the Lovebird out of the garage instead of having her here receiving all the sparks and all that crap. But yeah, guys, I hope that this video is a big help for a lot of you that never did a Pontiac water pump, and these are the things you guys gotta go through. And one more thing that I forgot to show you guys, where the leak was coming from, and it's right here, this hole right here. So she's like this on the engine, and once she starts leaking through here, you know you have problems. And when I put the coolant in the radiator, I saw she was leaking out through here, and she kept on leaking Okay, and that's when I pulled the plug and I said, forget about it. Let's just order a brand new water pump and let's go from there. Well, guys, this is Louis. Okay, another late evening here in the garage. But listen, let's face the facts. That's what's going to take to get these cars done. All right. And like I always say, keep your hands dirty and your project will move forward. And pretty close, we are going to see this car driving out of the garage. Take care now. Bye-bye.